According to WBBM Radio, members of the Obama CBA coalition gathered outside Chicago City Hall and called for Johnson to prioritize the coalition's South Shore ordinance in the city's budget. Right now, most folks in South Shore pay more than 30% of their money on their rent or their home expenses, so we're talking about stopping mass gentrification and displacement of a neighborhood, which we've seen across the city in a bunch of different ways, said South Shore resident Dixon Romeo.
Brandon Johnson breaks a campaign pledge and proposes raising Chicago property taxes. He says it's needed to pay for his 2025 city budget plan. Good afternoon. I'm Jenna Barnes in for Dina Bair.
I'm Patrick Elwood. We welcome you in this noon hour. Courtney Spinelli is live at City Hall with more on our top story, what the mayor has to say. Courtney.
Yeah, good afternoon to you both. Since the campaign trail, Mayor Brandon Johnson has been adamant that a property tax hike would be the last thing that Chicagoans needed, but that until this morning was something he stuck to. Now he is proposing a $300 million property tax increase, saying this is needed to be able to avoid a 17% cut in the number of workforce here in the city.
Choices we made to present a balanced budget have certainly been sobering.
Johnson's budget plan looks to allocate money in a handful of areas, including community safety, like victim support services, housing, including support for people facing homelessness, additional spending for mental health resources, small business support, and youth employment opportunities. Now, the city is trying to close the nearly $1 billion deficit it's facing, something Johnson blames largely on rising personnel and pension costs. The property tax hike is arguably the most controversial item in the proposal and marks the biggest property tax hike since Mayor Rahm Emanuel's $588 million increase passed in 2015. Let's give you a closer look at some of those key items that Johnson is proposing. That includes a declaration of $570 million in TIF surplus, with CPS set to receive over $300 million of it. Federal COVID relief money set aside for community investments, and a 3.2% increase in the fiscal year 25 spending over the previous year. Two city council members with opposing views on the property tax increase weighed in today.
You know, that's a complete contradiction of what he ran on, what he promised, and what he won on. This notion that he was the only one who was going to reform government without asking for a dollar more, saying that we are wealthy enough to do so many things without needing more money. And yet here he is today getting ready to say how he wants to get $1 billion more to make up for the spending addiction that the city of Chicago has.
I think the prudent thing for us to do is to maintain the course on having relatively inflationary related adjustments so that we do not have to have large increases.
Now, the property tax hike proposal comes at a time many homeowners are already grappling with increased property taxes following the county's recent reassessment. If the property tax hike passes as is, the mayor's office says Chicagoans can expect to see an estimated 4% increase on their property tax bill using the 2023 assessed values. Now, the mayor expressed yesterday that he is not concerned about getting those 26 majority council votes needed for the budget to pass, but some alders say they won't support the budget as is unless other changes are made, including investments in public safety and things like a new line item for a new police district on the city's southwest side. We can expect to hear from a group of about 14 alders later this afternoon, talking about a letter they just recently penned to the mayor rejecting his proposal for property tax increases, among other items. Now, the city will have until the end of the year to pass a budget. A lot coming up this afternoon as this continues in City Council chambers right now. For now, reporting live at City Hall, Courtney Spinelli, WGN News.
Per Illinois policy, despite budget experts predicting a $538 million shortfall next year between Chicago's spending and revenues, only two city leaders opted to forego automatic pay raises provided to top public servants in September. The mayor and 48 aldermen took theirs. Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson and 48 of the city's 50 aldermen are set to receive a 2.24% pay raise on January 1st, with just two city council members refusing the automatic salary bump. Records obtained by Block Club Chicago show Johnson has not rejected the pay raise, alongside most aldermen, the city clerk, and the city treasurer, despite concerns over a $538 million city budget shortfall projected in the new fiscal year. They had until September 15th to accept or reject the 2.24% increase. After the wage increase tied to inflation takes effect January 1, 2024, most city council members, including the 12 new aldermen, will earn $145,974 next year. Some aldermen already accepted a 9.6% pay raise last year tied to inflation. If Johnson ultimately decides to accept the raise, he is estimated to collect about $221,052 annually. He would also be the first Chicago mayor to accept a salary increase since 2006. Budget negotiations and decisions are an evolving process, and no aspect, large or small, including the salaries of elected officials, are definitive until the entire budget is balanced and finalized, read a statement released by Johnson's office. Details on which elected officials accepted or rejected salary increases will be provided when the mayor releases his recommendations next month, and all elements of compensation will be codified when the City Council passes the final FY 2024 appropriation ordinance, it stated. City leaders said they would not release a full list of the public official salaries yet, but Block Club reported for aldermen, the city treasurer, and the city clerk had all confirmed accepting the raises as of September 22. The Chicago City Clerk and City Treasurer both received over 20% raises last year as part of former Mayor Lori Lightfoot's 2023 budget. While the Treasurer's office declined comment, a spokesperson for the clerk said she accepted the 2024 salary bump to meet the rising cost of living. City Treasurer Melissa Conyers-Irvin recently came under fire in an Inspector General's report stating she used city staff for personal errands, including planning her daughter's birthday party. She denied allegations she did anything illegal or unethical. Only 2 city leaders have turned down the salary increase this year, including Johnson allies Alderman Byron Sigcho Lopez and Alderman Rosana Rodriguez Sanchez.